Hey everyone, Anthony Cosenza here with Casa Realty Group coming at you with a market update. A lot of stuff has been going on since the last time we did one of these videos and brought you rate information and all kinds of different things. We're going to bring you some of that. We're going to bring you some headlines courtesy of Realtor.com, and then of course some other information that we've got for you going on in the community. Going to preview, let you take a look at a new listing that we have, a great new listing that we have in the works for you, and all kinds of different things going on in the real estate market. The bottom line is we at Casa Realty Group want to be your go-to resource for real estate information, expertise. If we can get you anybody, an industry referral, even if it's a mortgage professional, if it's home repairs, home improvement, that sort of thing. We've got all kinds of different people that we can point you to help you achieve your real estate goals, whatever those may be. So we want to be a resource for you. Let us know how we can help you. CasabellaSocal@gmail.com is the email address. CasabellaRealtyGroup.com is the website. You can go there for all kinds of information. And of course, you can hit us up on our Instagram page, our Facebook page. Individually, any of our agents or brokers, you can hit us up individually via direct message or anything like that. We just want to help you how we can, and hopefully you find these videos informative, helpful, and if you ever want to sit down and chat about things one-on-one or anything like that, we are always game to do that. We want to be a resource for you. So without further ado, we've got a lot to get to. It's been a little bit since we've done one of these videos, so we're going to kind of cram about a week and a half's worth of information, and we know a lot has happened over the past week and a half or so, so we're going to try and cram a bunch of those into this video here, a bunch of information into this video. We've got some stuff from Reports on Housing. We've got some articles from Realtor.com, and of course, we've got some rate information on tap for you. Like I said, we've got some stuff going on in the community that we want to tell you about as well. So we are going to get to it and get you some information on the market. Well, I guess we could start with some articles that we like to always reference, some of the headlines swirling around. And of course, when we share these articles with folks, it's not so much, hey, take the article title as scripture, take what they're saying in the article as absolute scripture. Obviously, they're helpful. It's talking points. It provides data. It provides perspective. But there's also, as we know, nuances in a lot of these different topics and things going on in the market. And so that's important to dissect, and it's important to keep in mind when you go through these. So I'm going to, as I usually do, share my screen and share some of these articles. We'll start with the articles from Realtor.com. Then we will go into some of the actual data points, rates, MLS information like we usually do as well. But these are, again, I don't want to call them misleading headlines, but they are headlines that kind of provide a little bit of a different spin on things here. And this is one from Realtor.com. Can homebuyers handle the housing market's latest cruel twist? Well, what's the cruel twist? The cruel twist is that we've been hearing for a while, and it is pretty true that the inventory has risen in terms of available homes on the market. We've seen that. Now, we saw a surge in kind of mid-late summer of inventory going up. That has kind of plateaued a bit into September and beginning of October in terms of, available homes, new homes that have come on the market. We've seen earlier this summer, or kind of middle of the summer, a big spike. It went from, kind of 2,000-ish, and then all of a sudden we had 3,500, and then it was all the way above in Orange County, over 4,000 in terms of active inventory. Then we saw some movement there. It dropped, and now it's kind of been remaining around that 3,700 active homes for sale in Orange County per the MLS, and we'll get that up for you here too. But you can see here, it's talking about medium home prices, and still home prices are 13.9% higher than they were last September. So there's a cruel twist here, but you see here buyers are getting a seasonal break in pricing. The last week in September in particular is the best time of year for home buyers. So you're getting a little bit of a break there. So that's interesting to note as usual. And then it talks about, of course, realtor.com goes into kind of some national perspective there where it talks about Miami. But here's more homes are for sale, but not many new ones are being listed. So that's kind of what I was talking about. And that's kind of the focus of this article that I wanted to point out is yes, there are more homes out there for sale and there are more to choose from. However, there's not a ton of new listings being placed out there from both a national perspective. You're probably seeing that a bit locally as well. So that's something to think about here. You see here led to a 26.9% increase of overall inventory in September, 155,000 more homes for sale compared to a year ago. But like I said, the numbers from when there was this surge in kind of August and September of some new homes, end of September, start of October, you've kind of started to see a little bit of a plateau in terms of new homes being out there and listed. And then the ones that are out there are sitting a little while longer than obviously what we've seen from the frenzied months of early 22 and then obviously 21 and the beginning of the pandemic as well. So just some things in here that I thought were a little interesting and things to share here. And then, of course, continuing on with the home buying aspect of it and that theme, you can see here another article from realtor.com. Today's home buyers have heard all the bad news. Now here's the good. These are the kinds of articles that I do like to share because there's so much doom and gloom. There's so much, kind of negativity in some of these headlines and people kind of take that and run with it. There are always things to take away, even though some things may not be perfectly favorable, depending on which side of the table you're sitting on, buying, selling, etc. But there are some takeaways that you always need to look for. And this is from the home buying standpoint. And so you can see here things turning out to be rather dark days for home buyers, being stretched to breaking rising mortgage rates on one end and rising home prices on the other. But you can see here new listings. This kind of again points to the inventory thing that I've noted. Market, you see here things in general, and this is nationally, but things in general are staying on a little bit longer. And then here's the mortgage rates, and then it talks about the mortgage rates rising. You hear things now upwards of 7%. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit here. But this just tells you a little bit more of what's going on here. The general trend for home price growth is cooler, with the rate notably lower than what we saw in March and August. And that is from one of the experts that they note in this realtor.com article. Home prices typically decline as we move into the second half of the year, one of the key seasonal trends that help make fall the best time to buy a home, particularly for first-time buyers. So it says the first this area, but there is a lot of a flurry of activity, kind of before the Thanksgiving time, and then right before the end of the year as well. People try and get some sort of if they're really serious about selling or buying their house, they're trying to get that in before year's end for tax purposes and whatnot. So interesting stuff here to note. But again, this goes back to this graph here. This kind of talks about the weekly housing trends. You see the median list prices, newer listings are down a little bit, time on market. So there's a little bit of that scale that keeps balancing back and forth. We talk about how this has been a little bit more of a balanced market than we've seen so much recently, in terms of things so heavily favoring sellers and whatnot. There's still a lot of elements that favor sellers, but there's also a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, that help out buyers too. And that's kind of a little bit what this article on realtor.com is attempting to portray. And then of course we've got another one here, just a quick one. And this is just kind of helpful tips and tricks, I guess, for sellers. And we've been helping out some of our sellers for a long time in terms of different things. We hear a lot, I want to obviously have my house. I've done a lot of things to my house. I've already spent a lot of the money. I just kind of want to get it cleaned and have it presentable. Yeah, that's, usually that's a great way to go. But there are other little ancillary things you can do to help make your house even more marketable when you sell it. And it doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg. We're not talking about necessarily painting the whole house or, re-landscaping the whole deal or what have you. But there are other things that you can kind of make it presentable. And sometimes we just kind of say, hey, declutter. Definitely get your house professionally cleaned. Maybe if you had your house painted in the last handful of years, You don't need to repaint the house. Maybe you get it power washed, which is substantially less than getting it painted all over again. And all of a sudden, it's a little bit of money, but it's definitely a lot less than painting the house, and it kind of gives your house a freshened up look. Obviously, there are some landscaping things you can do, even things that just add a few potted plants here and there. Of course, pricing your home is something that sellers need to be aware of in terms of competitively pricing it and making sure you wisely price it. But obviously, marketing, how are you marketing homes? Where is your home being marketed? Who's seeing it? That sort of thing. Think like a buyer. And then, of course, just this general thing here: clean out the clutter, closets, personal touches. As people view your homes, they may peek into a closet here and there. And, sometimes if you have kids or what have you, that could be a little tricky to clean out the clutter and closets and all of that. Obviously, you're going to have, if the home is occupied, you're going to have stuff in there, but it's about making it at least visually palatable. And of course, that even includes the garages. Some people, clean out the house and everything's clear, but hey, if you've got a garage, people want to see that garage too. And if you've got all kinds of stuff in there, that makes it a little bit daunting for a potential buyer. So you want to think about that. But there's other things too. Like I said, even things like power washing your home instead of a full repaint. Different, instead of a full overhaul landscaping, there's other little touches you can do here. Staging, you can do partial staging, full staging, or you can kind of put things together with some of the things that you have and just kind of add little touches here and there to save some money as well. So there's a lot of different things, and we've consulted a lot of our clients on that front. Of course, we have great vendors as well, and contacts for folks to use to, do and achieve some of these things if you're looking to list your home. So just a couple of little quick tips there. Thought that was a neat article from realtor.com as well. So you can take that and spin it around a little bit as you are maybe mulling selling your house. All right, let's go to the gurus at Reports on Housing. These are, let's see here. Let's start with, I think this was the first one we wanted to start with here. Let's start with this one. So these are over the past couple of months here. Yeah, so you can see here, this was from the middle of September, so a couple of weeks ago. You can see here in August, there were 30% fewer for sale signs than the average prior to COVID, more than 1,000 missing sellers. And then the lowest since June, the inventory, again, active listing inventory in the past couple of weeks decreased by 304 homes, down 2%, and now sits at 3,600. So what we had was at the beginning of the year, we had for sale inventory in Orange County hit about 1,200 active homes. You saw it creep up a little bit. Then there was this spike in the middle of summer where all of a sudden we got to 3,000 homes. We got to over 4,000 homes. And it's like, okay, inventory, we got a little spike there. Then some things began moving. Other people began putting their houses on the market, but then it just kind of has plateaued. And it has stayed at this mark here, the 3,600-ish mark, for a while. And that's kind of where it's been recently. And you'll see here, again, in a lot of different things we've got here, that's kind of true here. And then you see August, there were 30% fewer homes that came on the market compared to the 3-year average prior to COVID. Demand continues to fall. You see decrease by 75 pending sales. Really not a huge number there, down 4%. And closed sales down year over year. Now, this was the September 19th infographic there. And this is another infographic from that report, and we'll get to the next one here in just a second. But this is, you can see here, this is from the middle of September, number of homes that came on the market in August, 2,484. And you see here the 3-year average prior to COVID was 3,537, or minus 30% down. So that's, again, playing to those numbers that we just talked about. And then here is the more recent report as we begin August from Reports on Housing. And I will zoom in on this for you here. October 3rd, you can see, obviously very recent, the high rate environment mortgage rates have risen more, have more than doubled after ringing in 2022. And you can see here, there's been no change in the active listing inventory the past couple of weeks. Again, what I've mentioned there, it's just kind of remained a little bit stagnant in terms of what's out there. So not a ton of new listings. So it's again that scale out there that's being balanced for both sides of the table, buyers and sellers. Their demand continues to fall a bit. You can see here down 9%. So that number obviously more recently a bit more drastic than a couple of weeks ago here. And then closed sales are down 30% year over year as well. So all things to note here and some interesting data points from reports on housing. Now, what may be affecting these numbers? And that is we're gonna show you here. This is from Mary Van Dorn of VIP Mortgage, and we want to share some things that she has shared with us. Now, here is the more recent. I got this right before the weekend from her, and we'll share her contact information as well. She has done some great work for our clients. And we're going to do something, I think, here too. We're going to have a little roundtable either on here or in person, and we'll let you know about that in terms of kind of getting some other market experts in here and talking about what things mean for the market and whatnot. So you see the weekend rate update. A lot of people are saying, here we are at 7%. We're at 7%. Well, you can see here there's some opportunities here. And this is what I wanted to express. You need to talk to mortgage professionals about options. You know, you hear these numbers out there about it's going to be 7%, it's 6.5%, it's both. There are other loan options. I had a chat with another expert recently last week, and you know, he was telling me there people just don't know to ask for other options that are out there, and there are other loan alternatives that are out there. And so when you hear 7%, you think that's just a blanket statement across the board, and that's what it's going to be here, and that's everything. Well, I mean, you could see here, even here, conforming purchase loan, 6.374% jumbo. You see here, 5.5%, a VA purchase, 6.25 for an FHA. And these are all things that you can contact someone like Mary Van Dorn at VIP Mortgage and get a grasp on, hey, where am I at in terms of a rate? Am I locked in here? And then, of course, as you get potentially look to buy, you want to get that rate locked in and get your pre-approval in there. So let's keep moving on here, and I'm going to show you obviously some things that she sent me about those rate increases, what it all means, and the things that you can expect here. And I will present my screen. Some valuable pieces of information here. What does the rate increase mean for mortgage rates here? The Fed increased policy rates by 0.75% at their September meeting. And obviously that doesn't mean mortgage rates will rise at the same price. And you can see here, market forces also influence mortgage rates. If the Fed moves policy rates far too quickly, we could see a recession. That means lower mortgage rate. So there's a lot of fluidity. There are a lot of variables in this. And we as realtors know quite a bit about this and this aspect of the industry, but you also want to have a great industry expert like someone like Mary Van Dorn at VIP Mortgage to help you out on this. Does this mean you should wait for the possibility of lower rates? Not necessarily. I encourage my clients to consider all the moving pieces, not only in the markets, but also in their lives. And so not everything is black and white. There are nuances. There are different areas, and things mean different things for different people. That's kind of what the messaging here is. And then, of course, it talks a little bit about the Fed here. And don't let interest rates hold you back from making a move or accessing cash. You can see here, we're still closing loans every day. So that is, again, some interesting information on what's going on with the rates and where they are at. Thanks to Mary Van Dorn. Here is her business card here. And you can see Mary V at VIPMTGINC.com. And of course, phone number 949-275-8838. Great asset for our real estate brokerage. She recently closed a very, very quick escrow for a valuable client of ours. And gosh, I think the thing was done in, week and a half. It was great what she did and what she was able to achieve in such a short period of time for our clients. And we always appreciate that. So thank you, Mary, and thank you for the information. We've got just a little bit more to get to before we get out of here. We have been slamming you with all kinds of different info. Hopefully you have found it valuable in terms of the real estate market, we are going to show you our own homework. Believe it or not, yes, we rely on some outside sources for some information to be fed to us, but we do a little bit of homework on our own here and there. And that is where we will give you this here. This is both an Orange County MLS update on the purchase market and the rental market coming soon. 138, 82 of those from 10/4 to October 10th active. You see here still staying at that 3,600 mark, 3,610, 385 of those active since September 26th. Active under contract, 919, 263 of those since September 26th. Pending, of course, pending is the contingencies being removed. Under contract, meaning there are contingencies in place. 1,032 pending, 150 of those since September 26th, which is, of course, last week. 547 transactions closed in Orange County since September 26th. Now you'll see a bit of a difference here in the rental update. So a lot of folks, again, wow, where the rates are, I don't think I can purchase. I'm going to stick with the rental updates. Well, let me tell you, the inventory there is still not very high. Coming soon, just 31 in the Orange County area for rentals, 12 of them from October 4th, which is today, through the 10th. Active 1,941, 1,941, 400 of those since September 26th. Pending 158, 67 of those since September 26th, and closed 324 since September 26th. So again, you look at the disparity, still not a ton of active inventory on the purchase side, but when we're talking about, again, just about double. That's kind of where this has been over the last handful of months, just about double of the active inventory between purchases and rentals. So that is definitely something to think about when you're potentially navigating this market. And again, if you've been looking to buy and you're out there as well, you see that inventory level, you maybe thought for a little bit, hey, there was a big spike in the summer of new inventory. Where we've been the last handful of weeks, it's kind of been a little stagnant in terms of how many active homes are on the market. So something to think about. All right, as we start to close up, I want to give you a little bit of community news and highlight something as we usually do. So we'll do that and then let you see one of our great new listings that we've got going, and we will get out of here. So let's talk about some stuff going on in the community. Okay. Well, for those who enjoy going to concerts, and now that those are back and kind of part of life once again, there's some big news that happened and you can find it in the Orange County Register. You can find it in a lot of different sources here. The Irvine City Council and 5 Point have come to an agreement for a long-term project and a permanent kind of stadium-esque or a permanent concert venue in the Great Park. Now, right now, there's the Great 5 Point Amphitheater, but you can kind of tell as you sit there and whatnot that the seats aren't, permanent in there. There's not, the necessarily the lawn seating. It's kind of more grandstands and that sort of thing. It's not so much, the full-blown built-in stadium seating. But now it appears that this has been approved by the city council, and they're going to do a publicly financed amphitheater again in the Great Park, and it's going to be 12,000 capacity, much bigger than what it is currently, I think, able to hold here. So if you like concerts, if you like the local concert venue, if you miss the old Irvine Amphitheater, the old Verizon Amphitheater, it looks like they're going to be making a big permanent and official amphitheater here. The city of Irvine is working with 5 Point to create this, and Live Nation as well is involved. So really cool. And, if you haven't been to the current venue that's there in Irvine, is kind of the placeholder between the Verizon Amphitheater, the old Irvine Meadows, and what they're going to be building. I recommend you check it out. It's a pretty cool venue and has a lot of intimacy to it, but pretty exciting news that there's going to be this coming up in Irvine, and again showing the growth of the Great Park and Irvine. So very cool. and some big news in the community there. I think it was kind of to be expected a little bit, but that's just some exciting news for the city of Irvine. At any rate, we are going to start closing up shop. And before we do, I hope, first of all, again, I hope you found all the information, be it from the realtor.com articles, the MLS homework we did, or other data we shared from reports on housing. Hopefully, you found that all helpful. I'm getting a lot of sun in my eyes here. The sun decided to shift right in the middle of this recording here, so I'm getting a lot of glare. I apologize for that. But at any rate, hopefully you found all that. Helpful. You can go to CasabelleRealtyGroup.com for all your real estate information. You can hit us up on Instagram, on Facebook, and everywhere else we have social media accounts. And of course, you can email us casabellasocal@gmail.com. We have a great new listing in Laguna Beach, kind of I call it a unicorn of a property, because it's a beautiful beach cottage. It's got a lot of different updates, a lot of different upgrades to it, remodeled kitchen, newer roof, fresh exterior paint, the whole 9 yards. It's got a big lot. It's got extra parking on the exterior and as part of the lot, as well as a 2-car detached garage. So you have the ability to potentially have 5 or 6 vehicles parked at this property, or do what you need to do with that. Multiple areas to entertain, including with a brick fireplace there. So a very, very cool. And then of course you're just a couple of minutes from Main Beach and downtown. Really, really cool. And oh, by the way, in case you're an investor or know someone who is an investor, this is also zoned as an R3 property, so keep that in mind as well. But here is the video. Let us know what we could do for you. Book an appointment to go see this one, 249 Cypress Drive in Laguna Beach. We'll be back. We'll see you next time.